Welcome back to Smart Operator for Forestry. In this fourth lesson, we'll discuss how you can lower the energy intensity of your operations. This lesson is divided into two sections. We'll present tips on how to get the most out of your machines by improving operating techniques, optimizing maintenance practices, planning operations, managing the refueling process, and reducing wasted time idling the engine. Here are the 9 steps to a smaller fuel bill. Step 1. As mentioned before, consuming more fuel is fine if this produces more wood, as determined on a liter per cubic meter basis. Be sure the new operators know what's expected of them, and ask the senior operators to mentor the younger operators' development. Take note of additional tasks that detract from productive time. Can these extra tasks be eliminated or sped up? Step 2. Fit fuel meters to tanks and keep records of individual machine fuel consumption. Low-quality electrical connectors can impair the function of 12-volt fuel pumps. Using high-quality electrical connectors and switches can speed up the refueling process. Keep refueling equipment in good repair and fix leaks promptly. Step 3. Keep the engine and hydraulic system tuned up. Discuss with the equipment supplier any software updates for the engine control module, or ECM. Original equipment manufacturers often update software to fix minor engine operating problems you may be experiencing. In addition, every year you should check the operating and margin pressures and verify that the load-sensing valves function correctly in the hydraulic system. Lastly, if repairs have been made to the hydraulic system in an expedited manner, ensure that the new hoses and fittings are of the correct size and length. Remember, constrictions in the hydraulic system create excess heat, which wastes fuel. Step 4. Fixed-drive cooling fans that run full-time can consume over 1 liter per hour, which is why in new machines, the ECM determines the fan drive cycles. Ensure that your fans cycle properly and that debris is cleared from the heat exchangers. Use hydraulic fluid with a viscosity appropriate for the season. Grease pins and bushings to flush out contaminants and reduce friction to ensure a long service life of parts. Step 5. Minimize unnecessary turns. Plan your travel at the start of the day and decide in advance when and where to fuel up to save travel time. Plan loaded travel to be downhill as much as possible and try to keep to firm ground, as soft ground takes more horsepower to drive the machine's tracks and tires. Do you know how much fuel your machine consumes when traveling? Unlike a fuel-efficient car, which can consume as little as 5 liters per 100 kilometers, a skidder with tracks, like this Tiger Cat 635D, can consume 100 times that amount over the same distance. Logging machines are built to fulfill specialized roles, none of which are driving on roads for any great distance. Step 6. Smooth operators avoid wasted motion and use various techniques to move logs, such as pulling the wood closer to the machine before lifting, avoiding sharp turns when fully loaded, which can topple a machine, using the self-leveling cab feature when available, as rotating a level cab requires less energy. Step 7. Working with a grapple full of logs at full reach can increase fuel consumption. Your machine will have more lifting power and use less fuel doing so when the boom is closer to the machine. Working the logs between the pickets of the log truck or forwarder uses less fuel than lifting the load over the pickets. Note that in difficult terrain, which can be soft ground or steep and irregular slopes, it may be more fuel efficient to extend the boom's reach to its maximum and harvest as many trees from one spot as possible. Step 8. LED lighting has been widely adopted in the manufacture of new forest machines. LED lights require less energy and are vibration resistant, which gives them longer service life. Consider retrofitting older machines with these lights. But if that is not possible, Turning the lights off when they're not needed will save fuel. Step 9. While idling, your engine consumes a considerable amount of fuel, which can be avoided. The cooling capacity of the engine is optimized for heat rejection when maximum power is required. When excessive idling occurs, which can be considered idling for a half hour or longer, the engine can overcool, causing more wear than when it is working. Oxides of nitrogen, carbon monoxide, particulate matter, volatile organic compounds, and greenhouse gases. These don't sound good at all, and they're not. Consuming diesel is justified when you're producing, but minimizing what you burn is better for you and the environment. Low hourly fuel consumption can be an indication of excessive idling. Excessive idling can reduce the life of engine oil by up to 75%, increase wear on mechanical components, and negatively affect maintenance schedules, depreciation, and resale value, as all are tied to the engine's operating hours. Here's an example of a feller buncher with 70% utilization, which is good, but not great, as top buncher operators typically idle their engines 10% of the time or less. In this cost model, the machine has been newly purchased, and fuel costs $1.20 per liter. The machine's engine is idle 30% of the time. How much money is spent during that time on a yearly basis? Almost $73,000. Spending that lost time producing timber is money better spent. To summarize, here are the 9 steps to a smaller fuel bill. 1. Maximize equipment productivity. 2. Promote a fuel-efficient philosophy. 3. Maintain your equipment in accordance with the manufacturer's specifications. 4. Reduce heat buildup with comprehensive hydraulic system maintenance. 5. Plan work to minimize unnecessary machine travel. 6. Work smoothly and avoid jerky movements. 7. Adopt energy-saving practices. 8. Use electrical accessories only when necessary. 9. Avoid excessive idling. In this next section, we'll focus on 4 of the forest sector's biggest producers. Attention to detail here can pay big dividends. Here are the steps for getting the most out of your feller buncher. Keep the teeth sharp and inspect them daily. Rotate individual teeth as needed. Sharp teeth can boost productivity by 15% and lower energy intensity by 13%. Sharp teeth reduce pullout on the log butt and may save the processor a cleanup cut from the butt, which can make the processing phase more productive. Shut down the hot saw during long travel distances. If the machine's hydraulic functions are slow to respond, get it fixed. A hydraulic tune-up can reduce fuel consumption, boost productivity, and lower energy intensity by 20%. Repairs may seem costly, but the payback is fast on this class of machine, as it is your biggest producer. Here are some suggestions for getting the most from your grapple skidder. Carry the load high to decrease drag, but provide for machine stability. Keep chains tight and tires properly inflated. Skid downhill whenever possible. A favorable 5% grade uses 20% less fuel than an adverse skid. If there is more than one skidder in a block, plan the work. Deploy skidders in areas where the machine-operator combination are best suited. For example, place 6-wheel drive machines on steep slopes. Use flotation tire-equipped machines on soft ground. Deploy inexperienced operators on gentle slopes. Task faster or higher capacity machines to longer skids. Implement all these suggestions, and not only will you boost productivity, you will also recover lost value in your saw logs. Log sort or cutting spec card. Is it understood by all? Logging supervisors need to examine this weekly to avoid costly missorts. A new chain produces 21% more wood than a dull chain and reduces energy intensity by 15%. Keep delimbing knives sharp. A second limbing stroke is a sign of dull knives and is a production killer. Do not extend the saw beyond the stem being bucked, as it wastes time. Reduce pressure on knives during delimbing to reduce friction, but be sure to maintain quality. There is a sweet spot between knife pressure and sharpness, but you can never have knives that are too sharp. For newer operators not yet up to speed, use economy mode to slow down the machine and save fuel. The processing phase benefits greatly from sharp buncher teeth and good skidding and log deck placement. Bringing the operators together for a morning production meeting will improve the process from stump to roadside. Here are the suggested best practices for getting the most from your excavator or log loader. For modest workloads, consider using economy mode, which can reduce power output and hydraulic response and can reduce fuel consumption by 20%. Power mode is best for heavy lifting, high-duty cycle tasks like repetitive digging, or perhaps speeding up the loader when more than one truck is waiting to be loaded. Use automatic shutdown timers for occasional use machines. In this lesson, we have covered several ways you can reduce fuel consumption and boost your production while improving log quality. Take a moment right now to make a note of the items you can do better. Join me in the next and final lesson, where we will discuss machine replacement cycles and specifying equipment on new machine purchases.